Hello, stamping friends. It's Angie here with Too Cool Stamping. I am excited about tonight's class because it is a really beautiful bundle. It's a beautiful stamp set with gorgeous collage, creating type of dies that go with it. And I created some really lovely cards. Two of them are fun folds, so a lot of fun stuff to work with tonight. I hope you really enjoy it. We're going to have two different class kits like we have many times in the past. So I'm going to be showing you 5 cards, and I'll also have their 2 cool versions that go with them. So there'll be one kit that you can earn with a $40 order for the 5-card kit. And then if you want all 10 versions of my cards, then you just simply place a $100 order and you'll get all the supplies to make the 10-card version. So what's included in the kit? Well, you'll get all of the pre-cut and pre-embossed supplies that you need, all the embellishments. You just add the stamp set, some die cutting. Sometimes if you need to stamp and then die cut, I do not provide die cuts for things that need to be stamped first. And then the inks and adhesives. Everything else is going to be ready to go for you. So it's really easy to put together, really easy to assemble. I also provide a tutorial, so that makes it easier too. So again, we'll have the 5-card kit for a $40 order and a 10-card kit for a $100 order. I had the question several times, why is the 5-card kit for $40 but the 10-card kit is for $100, which is more than twice the amount? And that's simply because I need it to cover shipping. So I need to, if I have just one 5-card kit, it's going to be one price for mailing that out. But if I have 2, then it costs more for that. So that just helps me with the shipping costs and the added cost for having 2 kits. So thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it. Okay, before we get started with the class, which I don't even think I said the name of it. It's called the By the Bay Suite. And it's going to be the Seaside Bay Bundle that we use with the By the Bay Designer Series paper. And I'll show all of those to you when we turn the camera around. But before that, just a couple of reminders about the class kits. Remember to use that host code. You're going to, and I'll show you what that is when we turn it around, but you're going to need to use that host code. I am not able to consistently add host codes. They don't allow us to do it very often. So occasionally I may have an exception, but for the most part, if you want to guarantee that you're going to be qualified to earn the kit, use that host code. You're going to put it on the checkout page right at the top. There's a little box that you can put that in. Also, you'll have until the 14th of March to earn these kits, and then they will mail out to you on the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. That's my half birthday. So also, I wanted to announce, if you hadn't already seen or heard, I did talk about it on my blog yesterday, but you might have heard the rumors going around that Stampin' Up! Is going to be doing a color refresh for the new catalog coming out in May. So for the brand new annual catalog, it's released on May 2nd. They will be doing a color refresh. And a lot of people are asking, what does that mean? Well, I don't know how often, but it's like every 5 or 7 years, Stampin' Up! Reviews all of their colors, and they get rid of the ones that are kind of not so popular, bring in some colors that are a little bit more trendy, and sometimes bring back some colors that are retired, like some of the in colors that we might have seen over the past 5 years or so. They might bring some of those back in. So that's always fun. So we'll be saying goodbye to some of our color collections. This is going to cover all the color families. They'll all be changed up a little bit. I'm not sure how. We don't have that information yet, and demonstrators won't be getting that information until the end of March. So, but it will mean that current color selection may be changing. Some retired colors, as I mentioned, some in colors might be coming back, and we might be getting some brand new, never seen before colors. We'll definitely be getting a new set of in colors, as they do every catalog. They get rid of the one of the in color sets, and then they bring in a new 5-color in color set, and those last for 2 years. So we'll still have that. So we'll definitely have at least 5 new colors, but it's always fun and exciting, at least I think it is, to bring in new, fresh, trendy colors. It gives you so many different options for new color combinations. It's just so much fun to work with. I know some people are not liking it because it's kind of, you know, you have quite an expense if you're going to get all the new colors. And especially now that I had someone comment with inflation, it's a little bit more difficult this year. That's true. This is not something that they intentionally had coming out during inflation. They planned this type of changeover for years. This is not something that is decided on a whim. They are planning this for years because they do all kinds of research. They look into trends. They look into just all, you know, what they're seeing in home decor and that type of thing. So this is something, they use focus groups, all kinds of things. So it takes a long time for them to plan this. So this is not something that they just said, oh, hey, it's a great time to do it. And, you know, I know inflation is happening and there may not be an end in sight for that. Who knows? But just know that this is something that they've been planning for a while, and it's always exciting. And you don't have to get the whole thing all at once because you can't use it all at once either. Anyway, so think about it. When the catalog comes out, we'll have plenty of time to be using all the new colors and get the switch over made for the ones that you love best. So don't worry too much about the cost involved because it's something you can do over time. All right, I just wanted to mention that because I've had several people ask about it, and I know that that's concerning for people, but it should just be a lot of fun. So let's think of it that way and see what they have to offer and see what kind of changes are made, and then we will go from there. I know you're going to love the colors. It's always fun to get new colors. Okay, so let's turn the camera around. We're going to start with our By the Bay Suite class. Thank you for joining me, by the way. All right. Whoops, let me get this straightened out a little bit better here. All right. And turn some light on the subject. So this is our By the Bay Suite. Let me show you, first of all, we have our stamp set and our dies that go with it. So we have the Seaside Bay. I love these beautiful ocean imagery. We have some nice sentiments there. Honestly, I have to just say, I wish there was a happy birthday in there because it would make a great masculine set. But everybody has happy birthday sentiment. So take your favorite happy birthday sentiment and combine it with this set, and you'll have beautiful masculine birthday cards. So I know sometimes it's hard to find imagery for that. So it also comes, the bundle comes with the Seaside Bay dies, which include all the outline images for the, so you can cut out all of these imagery. Plus it has some grasses and some shells that you can add as well for some beautiful collage looks. And you'll see how easy it is to put those together with some of the cards we're creating tonight. I apologize for my voice. I'm a little, I don't know what that is. I'm a little raspy tonight. And then we have the By the Bay 6x6 designer series paper. This is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to go one by one here so you can see, because some of these have a pearlescent design, some have foil. You'll see what I mean in a second. So we have some beautiful shells. Now, hopefully you can you see that shimmery? It's like an iridescent gloss or glaze over some of these. So here's kind of the same kind of a glaze shimmer. It's like a pearlescent almost. So it's only on one side. This is kind of a gold. And then again, another set of shells. I love these fish. I didn't even get a chance to use the fish in our projects tonight. These also on the back, you can use the die cuts with the crab and the bird. Here's more of the shells in a different color combination. And then a beautiful shoreline. Here is some stripes with that pearlescent glaze and another shoreline. This has some gold shimmer, gold foil, I guess you would say, waves on it, and then just a nice wood. Here's more fish, just really pretty designs that really have a relaxing ocean feel to them. Some more gold foil. And that one, oh, here's the foil side with the clams. And then this one has just a little bit of wave pearlescent design with some clams with no embossing on it. So beautiful, beautiful paper. Again, it's a 6x6. You're going to get 4 each of 12 double-sided patterns for 48 sheets in your pack. So really, really pretty. Also, we have in the suite, these are gorgeous. They're called flat back pearls, and you have 2 sizes, and they're kind of, again, an iridescent pearl that it really matches a lot of different things. It has blues and pinks and oranges, just really matches a lot of fun stuff, and really goes with this whole suite with the pearl and the clam type of theme. And then this really pretty, very it's very flexible and sheer. It's called the Balmy Blue Variegated Ribbon. So it's easy to tie, it's really easy to work with, and that is available in this suite as well. Okay, let's get started with our first card. We're going to start with the Sahara Sand. This is a traditional card base, 5.5 by, I'm going right over this host code number. I wanted to remind you, don't forget to use that host code R9SPCEZJ. Use that on the checkout page to earn either the 5-card kit with the $40 order or the 10-card kit with a $100 order. You go to tocoolstamping.com to get more information about that. Okay, Sahara Sand, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. We'll just fold that over and flatten it out with our bone folder. Next, I have a piece here of basic white. This is going to be a horizontal card. Basic white, 5.5 by 2.25. And then this pretty crab and shell pattern with just a little bit of foil on there. And that is a 5.5 by 2. So we're going to add that together. And we'll have just a little bit on each, the top and the bottom, and flush on the sides. This will go across our whole entire card, so I'll put that on now. You might hear, I have my daughter's upstairs, and she's having a grand old time, and I think she's talking to her grandmother on the phone, on FaceTime, so they're having a good old time, so you might hear them upstairs. Okay, I have another piece here. This is crumb cake, and I've already embossed it with the timber embossing folder. Hopefully you can see that. Let me bring my light over a little closer. And this is 1.5 by 4.25. I'm going to add that and kind of do a little crisscross pattern here. And we'll do it about right here. All right, so there's our background. I am going to also add some of this gold and vanilla satin edge ribbon. Put that on right now and just tie it in a double knot and trim. You know, that's my favorite. I'm not a big fan of bows, just because they're a little harder to tie, and you can make a cute little faux bow. Nice and neat and easy. All right. So there is our background. Let's work on our focal point. So I already have a basic white Stylish Shapes die cut here. This is, I think it's the second largest circle die cut. If you don't have Stylish Shapes dies, you really need them. They're very, very, very handy. I use them almost on every other card I make, so. All right, I'm going to start with one of the sentiments. This one is thank you for everything, and you really could mix and match with the sentiments. And I'm stamping that in soft suede. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pop that up. I don't think we're going to have anything else stamped on there, so I'll pop that up with some dimensionals. And I'm going to try to avoid the ribbon so it's not too bulky. And I'm going to go about right here. And then I have some die cuts already made. So this one is a little grassy piece, and it's in crumb cake. I'm going to use some multi-purpose glue, the liquid glue. the green cap glue, as some people call it. Just add a little bit to that, and we're going to put that right on the back here. So it's kind of going off of the circle just a little bit. Next, I'm going to collect a couple, do some collage pieces here. So I have used some brushed metallic gold to die cut 2 different sizes of seashells. Then I'm also going to, one moment, okay, I'm going to stamp my crab in soft suede and also stamp my seashell in Sahara sand. So we'll do that. You could also do it in crumb cake if you wanted to. And then I would go ahead and die cut that. I've already done so. So here are my 2 little pieces for that. And then we're just going to add these as a little collage. So let's start with, let's pop up the crab first so we can get some positioning there. So put some dimensionals behind him. And then we can tuck some things underneath. So here is our crab. I'm going to tuck this larger shell, add a little bit of liquid glue to that one. Put that right over here. And then this shell is also going to be tucked under. So we'll just put this one right here. And then this little tiny shell, I think I'm going to pop that one up as well. Let me get a mini dimensional. That's going to work the best. If you don't have mini dimensionals, you can always use the edge of your dimensionals or cut a dimensional in half or a quarter, whatever you need. But I love the mini dimensionals. They're ready to go. And we'll just add that right in there. We're going to finish up with some festive pearls. These are just 2 of the colors from the festive pearls. I should have brought my whole, I have a whole sheet, but they come in gold and silver and real red or cherry cobbler, I think, and soft succulent. Really awesome set. It's from last year's holiday mini, and it's carried over, and I'm so glad because they're just absolutely gorgeous. So we'll add a few of those just to have another gold accent. They kind of play off each other. So there is our first card. And let me show you my Too Cool version of that. This one is in the horizontal position. I started with Balmy Blue. There was another crab and shell paper that I used. This one doesn't have any of the gold foil. It's just kind of plain, but it's pretty, and I have it on white. The strip across that's embossed is in gray granite, and I added the gray granite shimmer ribbon to coordinate with that. The grass is in gray granite, and the shell is stamped in gray granite. The crab and the sentiment are in Night of Navy, and then Balmy Blue for the 2 die cut shells. This time I used the iridescent pearls. You could also use the flat back pearls that come with the set. So there are the first 2 cards. This one will be in your 5-card kit, and then you'll get supplies for both if you earn that 10-card kit. All right, moving on to the next card. This one we're going to kind of go with a dark theme. A lot of this stuff is kind of a lighter pastel, soft. This one I'm going to make a little bit darker, just for fun, a little different. So this is soft suede, again 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This time I am using one of the papers that have kind of a seashore look to it, a little landscape, and I'm going to make it so that the top part of it is kind of like dark, like night. So this is, let me give you dimensions on this. 2 2¾ by 3¾ and we're going to layer that onto a piece of Night of Navy that is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. So there's our first layer. We're going to also pop this up onto a piece of Sahara sand. The Sahara sand piece is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Before we do that though, we're going to add just a little tiny bit of texture. So I'm going to add just a little bit of adhesive right here on the top left, and then I'm going to add a little piece of the natural trim. I love this. It looks like it's burlap, but it's a lot thinner. It's kind of a linen feel. So I'll put that down, put another layer of seal, and then pop that. I just want a little tiny tab to show, just for something a little different than regular ribbon. We're going to pop that up with dimensionals. And before I do that though, because I just completely forgot that I needed to stamp on the paper. So don't do that. Don't forget. I'm going to go over here so that since I already have a little bit of adhesive there, I don't want it to stick to my paper. Before you put your designer series paper down, you want to stamp it. And first, before I do that, I need to clean my sentiment. So I have my little Simply chamois. Clean that up real quickly. And we're going to stamp in Night of Navy. That same thank you for everything stamp. Hopefully this, yep, it's just barely in the video. So there is our sentiment. And now we can put that dimensionals on there. I thought I was missing something. It's always so easy to forget. If you happen to forget, it's no big worry. I'll show you on my Too Cool version how you can do it without stamping on the actual paper. It's just kind of fun to try it and be a little different. Or if you mess up, if it, you know, you get it smudged or something, or it's not quite lined up, it's okay. You can just put something right over it. All right, so now we're gonna layer that. And then I'm gonna add this whole piece to, oh, hold on. I'm forgetting my order. It's been a little while since I made these. If I make them too far in advance, then I like forget how to put them together. This is just a piece of 2 by 5 1/2 by the Bay Designer Series paper. So that goes down the side. Then we can add this whole piece with a little bit more seal. If you want to, you can use the Tombow liquid glue. And we'll add that here. All right, now we're going to add just a little bit of a focal point. I already have a piece here of crumb cake grass like we did with the other card. So that die cut is ready to go. And I'm going to add that up here. And then let's stamp a few things. I've already stamped and cut out one of the birds. And then there's also, I did that in Early Espresso. There's also a 3-bird image that I'll stamp in Early Espresso. Whoops, so that was dumb. I didn't get a big enough piece there, but you get the idea. Fortunately, I already have them die cut and ready to go. You'll only need 2 on the front. And then if you want to, you can put the 3rd one on the inside. We're going to color that a little bit. So let's get some Stampin' Blend markers out. And I'm going to use, let's see. I'm going to use a light soft suede. And also a crumb cake. So we're just going to add a little bit of color. I'm kind of just going by the dark feathers on the image. That's going to be in soft suede. And again, you can do this coloring in anything that coordinates. Doesn't have to be soft suede. It could be crumb cake. It could be Sahara sand. It could be ivory. If you have the natural tones blends, many of those would work. So just do with what you have. This is also something that you wouldn't necessarily need blends. You could use your Stampin' Right markers if you wanted to. So this is, it looks like I forgot to bring my crumb cake. Did I really? I guess I did. Anyway, I would use the light crumb cake. I'm like making, oh, I've totally made a mess of this. I hate it now. I had gray granite. I thought that I had crumb cake, but we're just gonna, I would totally use the, pair it up with crumb cake. I think it would look better because it's gonna match a little bit better. So pretend this is crumb cake. I really thought I had it right here, but I don't. I'm forgetting things. Does that come with my age, I guess? All right, so these are gonna go up here. I'm gonna make this little guy go up front, and then this one's gonna go here. So we're just gonna add these with a couple more dimensionals. Or should we not? No, I think we don't want it to get that high. Sometimes the post office is not real happy when you have it popped up way too much. So I'm gonna have this guy right here with his tail kind of hanging out. Whoops, let me bring him down so I'm not covering up my little ribbon there. This little guy is over here, covering up the bottom of that grass. And then this little guy will be in the middle, kind of hanging out with his buddy right here. And then that liquid glue, it just, you can move it around a little bit. It allows you to kind of manipulate your images and then just leave it dry for a bit so that it will get nice and attached. Put a little bit on his eye there so it's a little bit darker color. All right, we're almost done with that one. Let's add some flat back pearls. So here are my flat back pearls. We're just gonna add 3 of those. Let's put one here, one up here, and one over here. I was really, when I was designing this card, it was so funny because I was trying to figure out where do I want to put the pearls, and I wanted to kind of keep them up by the 3 birds, but you can't really put one back here because it kind of looks like really shiny bird poop. So I had to be careful with the positioning. So just something to keep in mind. You want them to look more like pebbles or pearls on the shore than pellets of bird poop. So here's our card that's going to be in our 5-card kit. And then let me show you the Too Cool version. This one starts with basic white as the card base. This is the flip side of that, the wave. So it's a whole different look. It's got some gold foil in there. So we use Sahara sand again, Balmy Blue for this matte layer. I used a different lighter, kind of a sandy shore designer series paper. You can see here I used the Stylish Shapes to do my sentiment. And I made it a sympathy this time, added some festive pearls in gold, some gold grass, and then these are stamped in crumb cake and then colored with crumb cake and or maybe even Sahara sand, and a little tiny bit of Balmy Blue on the head and a little bit under the wing. So you can, again, you can just decorate those however you want. So again, this one will be in your 5-card kit. This one will be in your 10-card kit along with the first one. All right. The 3rd card is a fancy fold. This is a fun one. And we'll start with, this is mint macaron. And this card is 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So you can fold that over. It's gonna have a shortened little card front here. We're going to start with the inside. And, oh, I wanted to show you. Sorry, I'm backing up because because I wanted to show you on this one that you can put that little bird on the inside. He's cute, don't you think? Did I do it on my white one? I think I did. Here's the white one on the inside. Okay, sorry. I just needed to back up because that's so cute. All right, so on the inside of this piece, we're going to have white. We're going to have, and that is a 4 by 5 1/4. We have a piece of 1 1/4 Balmy Blue. We're going to stamp that first with a couple of the shells. So I'm going to clean my little shell off. Let me get some Balmy Blue. And I'm just going to randomly stamp all over. And then I'll use the other little shell to add some other little imagery. And we'll adhere that to the side. Now before you adhere the white cardstock to the inside, we're going to do another little element to the card base. So this will go on the inside, but I want to have another little piece of mint macaron. This is 3 1/2 by 3, and then I've scored at the 1/2 inch mark. So I have just a little flap here, and I want to score this really well so it lays nice and flat. And this little flap is going to go behind my inside piece so that it will lay here. This will close, and this will close over the top of it. So let's do that. I'm just going to add a little bit of seal right down the edge of that flap. Line that up. And again, use that bone folder to make it stay really nice and flat. Then if you want to do any other stamping, you'll want to do that before you add your inside piece. But otherwise, you will put that on the inside and you'll have this nice little flap. Okay, so here's our card base. Let's do this one a little bit more. If you want to really make it nice and flat, use the tip of your bone folder to really get in there and flatten it down. There we go. That helps it stay a little more flat. All right, on the very front, we're going to put a piece of 2 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch by the Bay Designer Series paper. And we're going to add a piece of that Balmy Blue Variegated Ribbon. Again, with just another knot, double knot. Like so. Trim that up. All right, so there's one side of our card. Now we're going to focus on this part. For this part, we're going to do some stamping. So let's start with, we have a piece here that has shells and some sand. There's also another piece that just has the sand. So let me find that because I don't know if I brought, here it is. And then we're going to stamp that all in crumb cake. So we want that to be about, let's say this far down. We're going to stamp with the other sand to kind of fill in the blanks. So however you can use this little crazy shape. It's a very crazy shape. I think it's meant to go underneath the bird, because it kind of has that same little shape as the large bird shape. But we just want to fill all of that in. Then we want to add a sentiment, and I stamped that up a little bit high now that I think about it. You know what? I'm going to try again on the back, because that's a little bit too high for what I was trying to do. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done these cards. So I'm like, wait a minute. All right, now what did I do with my, here we go. I apologize. Let's do these down a little bit farther. We actually want this to be down here. Then we can use these and kind of fill in a little bit. There we go. If you overlap a little bit, that works too. Then let's do a sentiment. Our sentiment is going to be Heartfelt Sympathy, and we'll do that with Night of Navy. And we'll stamp that right along the top here. And then finally, I've already pre-stamped the bird and cut him out. And I pre-stamped the trio of birds. And again, that is, you can either use that or not use that. We're actually not going to use these for this particular card, but we'll use it for the Too Cool version. But I wanted to show you that you could use that or the shells. So what I did was I used these shells again. I apologize, I completely forgot how to put this card together. All right, Balmy Blue. So I stamped the shells once, added the sand around it, added the sentiment, and then I'm stamping the shells again. And cutting the shells out. So there's a die in your set that just will cut out those 3 shells. So I have those all cut out already. And let's just start putting this on our card. So this is our little background. This is a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 basic white. We have our bird that's going to go up here, and I'll color him in a minute. Let's add some of these shells with mini dimensionals, and they're going to go right over the crumb cake shells. We just made them a different color so that they would pop a little bit more. So there's one. Again, if you don't have many dimensionals, just cut your regular dimensionals in half. Put those over the top. And then the final shell. They're so cute. All right, so those are our 3 shells. Let's color this in real quick. I'm gonna do just a little bit of the gray granite. And maybe a little bit of the Balmy Blue. Doesn't have to be all very solid, just a little bit of color. And then I'm going to add him to the side here. So let me find my regular dimensionals. Now make sure that you don't have your dimensional hanging too far over. Your bird's going to kind of hang over the edge here. So you want to make sure that you don't have it go too far over so it doesn't close, or so it, you know, secures it closed. So it just hangs off the edge. You don't really need anything under the feet. They just kind of dangle there and they're fine. So then we'll finish up with a couple of pearls. And for these, I think I just used the iridescent pearls. You could use the flat back pearls if you wanted to. Just a couple of the large iridescent pearls. And there is our little fun fold card. Isn't that cute? I think it's just so darling. If you want, you could put a little wink of Stella on there for some shimmer. I'll show you my Too Cool version. Very similar, just used a different designer series paper, a little bit different color there. Use the same Balmy Blue, the same strip. The background is in Granny Apple Green for the card base. And then this is when I use those two birds. I stamped them in Night of Navy. I used I didn't use the sand with the shells in it, although you could still use that, but I just used the plain sand in crumb cake, and then I colored the birds in with crumb cake, a little bit of Balmy Blue, and a little bit of, I think, seafoam green. I didn't want it to be too, it might be the light Granny Apple, but I'm thinking it was the seafoam just because it's a little bit lighter and there's a little bit of seafoam looking green in here as well. And I made that one a thank you card. So those are the two versions of that. All right, we have a couple more cards here. The next one is also a fun fold. I don't know if I call it fun fold, but it's a different style of card than traditional. We're creating an acetate window, and I'm starting out with a piece here of 5 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I just have it scored at the 1 inch mark. So a little bit different. This is your front of the card, and I'm going to make a little acetate window. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, let's just add this piece. This is a little pearlescent wave piece that is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and that will decorate this cute little flap. And then I have another flap that will go on this side, and we'll have a window in between. So I'm using the window sheets. This is a window sheet that's 2 by 5 1/2, and that will go in between here. And then this piece will finish up, so we'll be able to see through that front. So this piece is a 2 by 5 1/4. I have a 1 3/4 inch piece by 5 1/4. And this one is already embossed with the seashells folder. I don't know if you can see that, but the seashells folder, that was something that was introduced a while back, but that goes beautifully with this particular bundle and the whole collection. So I'll add that to this piece. Okay, and then we'll join them up here with a little bit of tear and tape. So first you're going to want to put just one little strip as close as you can to the edge of tear and tape. If you don't have tear and tape, you can use liquid glue. I just found that the tear and tape seemed to work the best for me, but you do want it to be a fairly skinny piece right there. So then I'm going to add this, and you'll want to make it flush top to bottom. All right, so there is our one window. Then we're going to add this piece to the top. So we're going to want to add another strip of tear and tape to one side of this piece. Also with the liquid glue, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to dry. So you're going to have to hold it down for a little while so it's nice and dry so it doesn't move around on you on the acetate. I really recommend the tear and tape. That seems to work the best. I just got a smear on there. That's okay. Now when we put this one down, you're going to put the edges flush with the edge of the card and then push that down, and that is going to get it nice and even on that side. So I do have a little piece of seal that I got on there. I don't know if you can tell right there in the light. So I have a smudge of some adhesive. If you have an adhesive remover, that's going to take that off the best. I think if you also have just a tissue and you just wipe and wipe and wipe, that'll eventually come off. So I hate when that happens, when it gets on something like that. But we can get that cleaned up later. Okay, so now for the inside of our card. Again, if you want to do any stamping, you're going to want to do it before you adhere. But first I'm going to put a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece on the inside. And then I have this really pretty seashell piece. This is 1.5 by 5.5. So it goes the full length. It extends past your white piece. And when you add this, you're going to want to make sure that it all shows so that none of your white shows. So how do we do that? Well, it's a little bit tricky, but I'll give you a little tip. So we're going to add some seal. And then what I would do is add it flush top to bottom and then close the card. You see how I did that? So that way I know that it is going to be in that window. So I lined it up with the window and then closed it. If you have any part that isn't flush, you can just take it in your Stampin' trimmer or just cut it off with some snips and even that out. So there is our pretty card. Isn't that so awesome? I love it. Window. All right, we're going to decorate that with some different collage pieces. So first we have a die cut here of mint macaron, and we'll add that. Now, one thing you want to know, you want to be careful of, is when you add these pieces, whatever you have that's overlapping the window is going to show through. So think about that and make sure that if you have like a dimensional or something like that, you don't want that to show through. It's not like the end of the world, but if you want to keep it nice and neat, that's something to think about. All right, I have a little die cut here from the All That dies, just a little basic white oval with a pretty little decorative edge. We're going to stamp that with the You Are a Pearl, Rare and Precious, right on the side. And we'll pop that up with dimensionals. Now this is going to go right here. So like I was saying, you want to make sure you don't have any dimensionals showing. So I'm going to do my little 180 flip, add a few dimensionals here. Just 2, I think. And then that will go there. And then I have a couple more little collage pieces. I've already stamped a crumb cake shell, a balmy blue shell, and I've die cut a little crumb cake die cut shell. So we're going to add all of those. Again, if you want to, you can add those with liquid glue. That works really well. I'm just going to quickly pop them up. I added this one with seal. I'm going to pop this one up with a dimensional, kind of right there. And then I'm going to do a mini dimensional just on the side of this one. I might add just a little, you could add a little multi-purpose glue. I'm going to add a little seal just because it's quick. Whoops. And just add that to the bottom here. We're going to finish up with one flat back pearl. We're going to use one of those larger ones so that it looks like it's a clam with a little pearl in it. Ta-da! So, so darling. So there is our window card. Super, super cute. Let me show you the other one that I have, which I'm like, where is it? All right, here's our second, the Too Cool version. So this one I used Sahara sand. I put some crumb cake baker's twine around it instead of using the designer series paper. We use the other shell designer series paper. This one has a pink, petal pink kind of a coloring to it. Same embossed texture. Hopefully you can see that. I use the same clam, only this time in petal pink. You Are a Pearl in Sahara sand. I stamped the shells in Sahara sand, mint macaron, and a mint macaron little die cut shell with a little pearl. And there's your inside. I really love how those turned out. I hope you guys love it too. All right, we have one more card. It's pretty simple. All right, this one starts with Balmy Blue. Just a traditional card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And this will be another horizontal card. I'm going to start by adhering a 3x3 piece of the clam paper. This one has, as you can see, a little bit of shiny iridescent veneer on it. We'll add that to a piece of Night of Navy. That's just the 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. And then we're going to add that to a piece of 3 3/4 by 5 inch basic white. Clear over to the edge. And we'll do a little bit of stamping on this, again with that same pearl. You Are a Pearl. Rare and Precious. We'll do that in Night of Navy. And then we're going to add this to a mat that is gray granite. So this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So this is another card that you need to remember to stamp before you get too many layers going on. So don't forget to do that stamp ahead of time. All right, this is going to go, and I say that, and I've totally, I totally missed another step before I added my paper. So this gray granite is supposed to go around the 3x3 layer. So I'll show you what the finished card looks like. This one's going to not be on here, but that will be something that, again, so now I have 2 cards that you need to really pay attention to what the order is of putting your ribbon on and doing your stamping before you completely have it put together. So pay attention to the tutorial as you're working on those cards. So again, the gray granite ribbon was supposed to go around the 3x3. I'll show you in the finished card. Okay, next we have another piece of the grass. I'm loving this grass. There's also a shorter piece too. I just didn't happen to use it, but it's great. They're great elements for collage. It just has a lot of really awesome collage things happening here. So this will go to the side. I also have a large petal pink shell. And that will go, let's go right here. And then I am stamping the large clam image. So we'll stamp that in Night of Navy. Oops, that's upside down. So it looks like this. I've already die cut it. As I mentioned, every image in the stamp set has a die that will cut it out, so that's always awesome. And then we're going to color this in. I loved all the coloring of the clams, so I'm going to kind of mimic all of that coloring. I'm going to start by adding some Night of Navy. This is the light Night of Navy to the underside of the clam. And back here. And then we'll add some Balmy Blue. And this is just random kind of coloring. At least that's what it looks like to me. So here and there, I have some gray granite. It looks like there's also some mint macaron. I didn't bring that color, but you could add some of that in there too. You could also do maybe some crumb cake. And I'm going to color where the pearl is with gray granite just to give it a background. And then some petal pink to kind of fill in everything else. Okay, there we go. So there's our clam. And then we're just going to pop that up right here with some dimensionals. And we'll finish off with a pearl that goes right in the middle of the clam. So we'll add one of the flat back large pearls right here. Perfect. All right, so let me show you what the card is supposed to look like with that bow right there. So you're going to add that shimmer ribbon first before you put your 3x3 element down. And yeah, so I think that looks really nice. It has that nice shimmer. You got the shimmer from your flat back pearl. And then let me show you the other Too Cool version. This one, I use the other clam paper. This one does not have any of the iridescent shine on it. I wrapped Balmy Blue ribbon around it, put it on some petal pink. It has a gray granite background. This time, instead of having a full piece of basic white, I just have a smaller piece here and a couple of the grasses in Balmy Blue. This is the shorter one, the smaller one that I put behind there. A couple of the petal pink shell die cuts. I put the sentiment at the bottom this time and colored it just a little bit differently, but it's just kind of a different layout with the same basic elements. So those are the Too Cool versions. All right, so that was the last card. Let's pull in all the different ones so that you can see what you're getting in your two kits. Get some of our pieces out of the way here. All right, so again, we'll have the window card. You'll have this darker card, our thank you, and a heartfelt sympathy card. So you'll have all of these parts and pieces for these 5 cards for the 5-card kit. And then you'll have all of the parts and pieces for their matching Too Cool versions. So for that, we have all of these. And which one am I missing? Window card. Here we go. So we have all of these that will be kind of the second 5-card kit for your 10-card kit. So again, with the $40 order, you'll get that first 5-card kit. With your $100 order, you'll get a full 10-card kit supplies. You'll get a full, either way, you're going to get the full 10-card kit tutorial. And you must use that host code that I have supplied here so that I know which card kit it is. And it's something that I'm not able to add like I used to be able to with Stampin' Up. So remember to put on the checkout page, there's a little box at the top right above where all of your pricing is, and that's R9SPCEZJ. You'll put that in the checkout. I'll know that you want that kit. A little caveat, if you are interested in placing a larger order for $150 or more, I do not want you to put a host code because I want you to be able to earn Stampin Reward Dollars. And if you use the host code, you will not earn those. However, if you do place that order and do not use the host code, you're going to get 10% back in Stampin Reward Dollars for any order of $150 or more. So something a little extra incentive to get up to that $150 mark. If you have any questions, make sure that you contact me. I'll have all of the information about the class on my toocoolstamping.com website. I already have one of the cards blogged about. We talked about, I think I did this one on our blog a couple of days ago. So you can see that one. And throughout the rest of the week, I'll be adding more of these so you can get all of the step-by-steps for those and additional pictures as well. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate you spending some time getting creative with me today. Hope you've enjoyed the cards, and look forward to having you order and sending these kits out to you. Again, you'll have until the 14th of March to place your orders, and I'll be mailing them out and sending the tutorials out by March 17th. All right, everyone, thank you so very much. If you're watching live, I really appreciate you taking the time to do it right now. And if you're watching the replay, thanks for joining me on the replay. I like that as well. All right, I'll talk to you soon with our next live class. Until then, this is Angie with Too Cool Stamping. Bye-bye.